Chapter 6057. Steve was naturally flattered when he heard that Charlie was going to take care of him. He thanked him repeatedly. "Mr. Wade, you have so many things to do and can still take the time to see me." "Thank you so much." Charlie smiled and said, "Between friends, you don't have to be so polite." "When do you expect to land in East Cliff?" Steve thought for a while and said respectfully, back to Mr. Wade, "I will take off in a few hours. The flight will take about 15 hours and I will land in Ores Hill. It will be around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning local time." Charlie said, "Let's do this. I will host a banquet at noon tomorrow at the most famous classic mansion in Ores Hill. This restaurant is very famous, and my men will definitely be able to find a place. You can just come over when the time comes." Although the Rothschild family does not have the manpower in Ores Hill, their Greater China headquarters is in East Cliff. It has a very high level and a lot of manpower. So Steve has notified the administrative staff there who will arrange personnel and vehicles in advance to serve him in Ores Hill. It happened that the landing time was relatively close to lunchtime. It was a very reasonable arrangement to go directly to see Charlie for a meal. Steve thought it was a very reasonable arrangement, so he said very cheerfully, "Okay, Mr. Wade, I will be out then. When I get to the airport, I will come directly to the classic mansion." Charlie smiled and said, "Okay, then we will meet tomorrow." Steve said attentively, "Okay, Mr. Wade, see you tomorrow." After hanging up the phone, Steve was extremely excited. He originally thought that Charlie would not even agree to see him. But he didn't expect that he would treat him to dinner. This was obviously a friendly signal. It seemed that his trip to China this time had a very good start. If everything goes well, it would be even more perfect if he could complete the task assigned by the old man and bring the two Hogwarts father and son back to New York. His wife was packing his simple luggage for him. Seeing him finish the phone call, she quickly asked in a low voice, "Hubby, that BA5 named Wade wants to treat you to dinner?" Steve was startled and glared at her. He glanced at her and said fiercely, "What the H3LL are you talking about, Mr. Wade?" The wife said disdainfully, "What are you doing? That BA5 ruined your good deeds. And you still protect him? Are you suffering from Stockholm Syndrome?" Steve lowered his voice and said, "You know nothing." Mr. Wade's hands and eyes are astounding, and he is very capable. You and I can't play with him at all. Didn't I tell you? There are ways to make the old man die. I'll go back. I'd rather offend the president than offend him. After saying that, Steve warned, "Don't think you can talk fast at home. There are some things that should be said at home. It's easy to talk, but you can't stop it when you go out. This is a potential factor for trouble in the future. And you have to know that walls have ears. Mr. Wade may not be able to hear you when you scold Mr. Wade. But you can guarantee that the old man's confidant will be there. No one of my brothers can hear me? What if they report me? Wouldn't it be the end?" His wife's expression became more frightened and ashamed. And Steve lowered his voice at this time. "You have to remember, in this family, even our son cannot be completely trusted." The wife couldn't help but say, "Husband, you don't doubt your children, right? We have watched them grow up, they are our flesh and blood. It would be too much to doubt your own flesh and blood." "What does your own flesh and blood mean?" Steve asked her. "Our son is our flesh and blood. So am I not my father's flesh and blood?" When the wife heard this, her expression was stunned. After a long time, she sighed melancholy, nodded and said, "Husband, you are right. I will never be like this again." Steve was satisfied and told her, "After I leave, don't talk to anyone. When people mention Mr. Wade's affairs, I don't want anyone to know that I am going to meet with Mr. Wade." "Okay." The wife nodded heavily. "Don't worry, husband, I will keep it secret."